Yo, what's going on, everyone? I just got back from Arizona with GMC to check out the new Hummer EV. Now, back in October of 2020, which feels like 5 years ago, I had a chance to see the unveiling of the new Hummer EV. Now, as far as how it looks, not much has changed, but now I finally get a chance to crab walk it, launch it 0 to 60, drive on the freeway, off-road with it, and I have a lot of opinions. So let's dive in. Now look, if you're new to my channel, I'm not a car guy, I'm a tech dude that loves EVs. So in this video, you won't hear too many car specs, but you hear my opinions, impressions, and just overall experience of spending a lot of time with the Hummer. Number one question that people want to talk about is going to be range. Now they're estimating 350 miles of range. It's a huge battery pack, but it's also a huge vehicle. So I'd love to see the official ratings once they confirm that number. It will charge with a quick charger at home and over the road, but those exact numbers have not been announced officially just yet, so we have to wait to see how fast it charges and all that stuff. Now, when talking about the Hummer EV, as far as like the size of a Hummer, not much has changed. Now, when people hear EV, they instantly think smaller, but I think it's time to change that opinion. You know, we will start seeing more full-sized EVs coming to the market in the next few years. This is a Hummer through and through. You climb rocks, you take off the top, and you put it in WTF mode. That's how you launch it at exhilarating 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. If you don't know how fast it is, just imagine a brand new C8 Corvette. That is how fast it is 0 to 60. And when driving, there are blind spots galore. So yeah, it's over the top, it turns heads, and it's a Hummer. Now the overall design of the truck is what you'd expect from Hummer, but with lunar aesthetics. And you'll see that throughout the whole truck, including the truck bed, the speakers, and other random spots, just a lot of moon stuff. Now the front of the truck looks like a normal truck with the daytime running light bar that looks good, and it says Hummer on it because why not? And flanking the lights is the charging indicators and turn signals. But the actual headlights are under. Now towards the bottom you have these tow hitches in this brassy bronze color that I love. Now then you get to the Frunk. This is a massive Frunk. It's flat, so you're able to slide things into it. And it does come with straps and other tie downs too. Now I didn't get a chance to sit in it, but I definitely had room to carry a large suitcase and other items. And it being flat is really nice to just set things in there and push forward. I think that's like a really nice part of it. Now going around to the back of the truck, you have massive tow hooks, a tow hitch, and the tailgate, which lets you bring down the tailgate, and they have another button that will bring you a panel, and then another button would actually give you a step. And there's actually speakers baked into that too. So the tailgate is amazing on its own. Now the charge port is located on the driver's side, which is a manual release, and you can get to it with just a standard charging port. You can also remove the top because why not? And it's a manual process, but when you're done with it, the panels are stored within the Hummer itself. Inside the car, you'll get to the dash, and that is very similar to other GMC trucks. There are switches and toggles, and you also have a large screen that can do a lot of the same functionality as the buttons. There's also a wireless charger. You know, all the bells and whistles for most modern vehicles can be found in the Hummer EV. This feels like a normal truck on the inside, which I think is definitely a good thing. Now, I'm not a fan of the UI on the display. It's sort of this sketch design, and when I saw it a few years back, I thought it was like a reference thing, but it's how it actually looks. But when you switch drive modes with the little selector on the right-hand side, it plays an animation which is powered by the Unreal Engine, because why not? This shows the Hummer in space doing what the drive mode is. So for example, when you go off-roading, it shows the Hummer on Mars. For crab walk, it shows a big crab. So yeah. It does have Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, which worked okay during my trip. I would say on the display, the overall UI and animation was fine, and it got around pretty quickly. So I had no complaints there. Now, one weird thing is that when I was driving, the steering wheel was actually blocking the speedometer. That was for me and my co-pilot, Andrew Edwards. The steering wheel just blocked the speedometer. You know, we were adjusting the seats, but it was just really weird that I had a hard time seeing the speed I was going, and for a vehicle this fast, yeah. Now, this is the first time I had a chance to drive the Hummer, and since it's an EV, it is so quick that when I was driving on the freeway, I was able to speed up and switch lanes, get around other vehicles, and do a lot of things that a truck typically cannot do. And this truck was a head turner. People were looking at us, honking the horns, giving the thumbs up, because it is a really nice looking truck. With it being so big, I was surprised that it didn't feel as big when driving it because it was so fast and you were so nimble switching between lanes. But it seems like it had some blind spots that made me not as confident switching lanes as I would in different vehicles. You know, I would love that when you turn the blinker on, the cameras would activate your blind spots so you can kind of see it, but as of right now, that is not something available on the vehicle or something that was toggled on when I was driving. Now, this is the first time I had a chance to drive the Hummer. It is pumping in sound from Bose, which is a 14 speaker setup. And depending on the drive mode, it sounds differently. So if you're in terrain mode, you'll have a heavier bass tone and the sound increases as the engine torque does. So you can be aware of what's going on when driving, compared to normal driving, which is much more subtle and comfortable. More so what you'd expect when driving a car down the road. Let's talk about Watts to Freedom mode, or WTF mode. This is a launch mode which gets you 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. It's stupid quick. And if this is your first time in an EV, it will shock you how fast it feels. But since this truck is so heavy, off the line, it doesn't feel like a Model X or a Rivian would, but it does chirp the tires and it catapults you forward. And it's pretty insane that something this heavy can go this fast. The turn radius is pretty narrow too for a truck this big. You know, I was really shocked when I took it to a drive-through and this turn was really sharp and I was able to just turn right into it and it wasn't a big deal. And I noticed when going through parking lots and just able to use that turn radius to kind of get into tough spaces was really cool. Another unique feature that people were asking about has to be that crab walk. Now, this is a driving mode and it lets you take control over each tire, which in turns will allow you to slide back and forth when driving. It is so trippy when doing it, and it looks really funny too. I didn't get a chance to play with it a ton, but this isn't something you do when you're going down the street at 40 miles per hour. And personally, I don't understand the full use case for it, but it is kind of like a cool party trick for me. But I can't think of a real scenario why I would personally need this. Now, speaking of scenarios that I don't think I'd personally use, has to be the off-roading. I spent a lot of time with the Hummer off-roading, and you know, honestly, I don't think people will off-road a $100,000 vehicle. If you would, please let me know down in the comments. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but you know what? I had so much fun doing it, and it was amazing what this truck can do. When you are in the off-road modes or the all-terrain modes, the handling of the truck is much different. So the back tires have more of a turn radius, so when going up hills and doing sharp turns and cutting corners, it was very simple. I always felt like I was in control, even when I was going up a hill and kind of going down a blind hill. There were so many cameras around the truck that I can turn on, and I never felt unsafe even though I was going down this big canyon. It was really cool. I would say this truck made off-roading seem easier. I had no problems gunning it when I went to go up a hill, and when the tires started to slip, it would stop and then it would catch on. It was very simple for me, and I'm not an adventurer type of guy. I've never done this before, so I'm assuming the power of the truck made this much easier. And with the price, as I mentioned before, it's over $100,000, which makes it inaccessible for so many people. What I think GM is doing is pushing out its biggest and baddest first to draw attention to what they can do with the technology out today. There will be other EVs that will be more affordable, but GM wanted to make a huge splash with an EV, and I think they did. Now for me, EV is all about the charging network if you want to take it out of town, and I still think the fast charging network gets better. Every month it seems like I'm seeing more pop up over and over again, but still the network isn't big enough to where I'd say, you know what, let me take my truck to Florida and I would be sure that I have fast charging along the route. I can't say we're there just yet for any major EV company outside of Tesla, but I will say driving this truck was a lot of fun. Anyways, that was my experience with the Hummer EV. I'll have more videos coming down the pipeline. When I get a chance to take it home, get a chance to drive it for at least a week, I would love to give you guys more impressions, but those were my quick impressions and what I had with the truck. Kevin the Tech Ninja. Talk to you guys later. Take care.